Your Excellency, as we prepare to begin this very important event, permit me to invite the Honorable Commissioner for Science, Technology and Innovation, Gombe State, and the Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture, Gombe State, to please lead us in the opening prayers. Honorable Commissioner, Science, Technology and Innovation, and the Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture will lead us in the opening prayers.
صلوا على النبي الكريم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم أحسن عاقبتنا في الأمور كلها وأجرنا من خزي الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة اللهم انصرنا فوق الأرض وتحت الأرض ويوم الأرض عليك ربنا أتمم لنا نورنا فاغفر لنا إنك على كل شيء قدير سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Our dear everlasting Father, God of all creation, we are really grateful for being with us. We thank you, Lord, because of the hectic day we had yesterday, and now you have brought us here safely. We thank you, Lord, because of the time that you have given us to celebrate 5-year transformation program for His Excellency. We thank you, Lord, because you are the one that is guiding him to do all that he's doing in Gombe State and Nigeria at large. Lord, we also thank you because you have been with our guests and they are all here seated. We thank you because of the safe message you have given to them so that we'll come and celebrate with His Excellency. Our dear everlasting God, I'm committing those that are going to perform this function into thy care. You be with them, guide them, and give them the strength and wisdom so that we'll discuss it fruitfully. Lord, we thank you, and we pray that as we finish and we are departing here, you be with us and take us safely to our various destinations. Thank you, Lord, because I have asked in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen and amen. Thank you so very much. Your Excellency, the Governor of Gombe State, Muhammadu Inuwa Yahaya, CON, Damajan Gombe, and Chairman of the Northern States Governors Forum. Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor, Dr. Manasa Daniel Jatau. Your Excellency, former Governor of Lagos State and former Minister of Works, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, CON, who is also our lead presenter for this very important symposium. The Chairman of the Governing All Progressives Congress, APC in Gombe State, Mr. Nite Amangal, the Honorable Speaker of Gombe State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Abubakar Mohammed Lugreo, and all other honorable members of the State House of Assembly that are here present. The Chief Judge of Gombe State, Honorable Justice Halima S. Mohammed, the Grand Qadi, former Deputy Governor of Gombe State, Senator Joshua M. Lidani, former Minister of Sports, Barrister Solomon Dalong, Secretary to Gombe State Government, Professor Ibrahim Abubakar Njodi, the Chief of Staff, Government House, Abubakar Inokari, the Head of Service, Alhaji Ahmed Kasimo Abdullah, members of Gombe State Executive Council, special advisors, permanent secretaries, chairman of boards and commission, heads of extra-ministerial departments and agencies, party chieftains and eminent personalities that are here with us, including Architect Yunusa Yakubu, Dr. Jamilu Ishaq Gomna, Honorable Ismaila Muazu, Professor Idris Mohammed, Ibrahim Saleh Hassan, and all other ones that are here, local government chairmen, heads of security agencies, Your Royal Highnesses, our royal fathers that are here present, including the Mai Tangale, the Emir of Pindiga, the Mai Tula, the Emir of Yamaltu, the Folo Dadia, and the Lamido of Akko, and the senior district head of Kwame and Ajian Gombe. Our highly resourceful resource persons, or panelists rather, including Malam M.K. Ahmad, Dr. Ibrahim Jallo Daudu, Professor Omar A. Pate, Professor Isaac Ediba, Dr. Lawal Oladimeji, and Dr. Muiz Banire, all other distinguished invited guests that are here present, my dear colleagues, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning and a warm welcome to a one-day symposium organized by Gombe State Government as part of activities to commemorate the 5th year anniversary of His Excellency Governor Muhammadu Inuwa Yahaya. And this is, of course, to reflect on the journey so far, the accomplishments and the challenges, as well as the future aspirations. This symposium, Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, has a theme, From Promise to Progress, celebrating 5 years of transformation under Governor Inuwa Yahaya. And it is intended to serve as a platform for comprehensive discourse and reflection of the visionary and purposeful leadership in the jewel in the savannah. Please, let's put our hands together for this distinguished gentleman for all the good works that he has been doing in Gombe State. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in the course of this program, there will be a lead presentation, and of course, there will be other presentation as well as panel discussion. And this program, I must state, is coming, or it's being streamed live on channels, television, and is also being streamed live on local radio stations as well as the social media platforms. So I need to inform us so that as we are making our statements or moving around, we shall be guided as well. So at this point in time, Your Excellency, without much ado, it is my honor and privilege to invite the Deputy Governor of Gombe State, His Excellency Manasa Daniel Jato, PhD, for his welcome address. Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor, please. Let's put our hands together to encourage His Excellency, please, as he comes on the podium. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Gombe State, Chairman, Northern Governors Forum, our special guest of honor, let me scumble the little Yoruba I know and tell you a kabosa. Your Excellency, in this era of ease of doing business and the need to fast-track activities, let me copy and paste the protocol established by the anchorman for obvious reasons. One, it will save time. Secondly, for those that know, I just came out of Supreme Court issues because of name. I don't want to murder people's name. And in this era that lawyers are too many, not doing anything, let us not end in court. So I beg His Excellency to please allow me borrow that protocol and stand of it. Your Excellency, let me sincerely speak not just as the Deputy Governor, but as one of those that consider himself a student for life, to thank him most sincerely for making these 5 years with educating your citizens. Nothing could have been better than that. Yesterday, we heard about revenue generation. We heard about management of resources. We heard about reforms. We heard about digitalization. And we also heard about measuring performance. All those, Your Excellency, must still have to come under leadership. I'm sure the documentary we are going to see And the presentation of His Excellency 5 years is a practical demonstration of leadership. The lead person that will talk on leadership, I know, will obviously say the right thing, because above all those things that we discussed, there must be leadership. Without leadership, all that we stated yesterday, whether we generate revenue, how we generate revenue will depend on the leaders that we have. Therefore, I will appeal to our audience to listen more authoritatively. The reason why we talk of leaders is because everyone is a leader by my own knowledge, by my own writings on leadership. Today that we are all gathered here, if somebody goes to the Commissioner of Police office and he is not there, the messenger that is there that gives information is a leader. That is why leadership is something that everybody is a leader. The only question is, what leader do you become? Is it a good or a bad leader? Therefore, I please appeal to all of us here, since we are all leaders, to open our ears, to please listen, combine what we are listening to today, add it to what we listened to yesterday. Many people sacrifice their time, their energy, especially this time that traveling is not a luxury, to come down to Gombe. Please let us see the implication of the knowledge they are imparting on us. That precisely is my welcome address, and I'm sure by the time we will be richer in knowledge than how we came. I thank all the resource persons of yesterday, particularly the IGP that is not here, because sometimes those of us that wear uniform, when we go scholarly, people think we are in the wrong direction. But I'm sure what you heard from the IGP yesterday is a statement that there is a deviation, that some of us that wear uniform, we are also there. I hope I'm saying the right thing. It's not like before. I remember one time I removed my uniform, lectured statistics, and when I came out, the students were asking, they said, this is our lecturer. The other one said, Kai, this is a custom officer, how can a custom officer know statistics? And I was the same person. By the paper presented by IGP yesterday, please have a change of mind. Academicians, discuss with us freely, we can also contribute. Thank you very much, and let us have a nice day, but listen and get something that you can say about. Thank you. Now go there.
Thank you so very much, Excellency Deputy Governor of Gombe State, Manasa Daniel Jatau, PhD. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for us to play a 30-minute documentary. It is just a tidbit of what is happening in Gombe, how His Excellency met the state, what he has done and what he's still doing, and the vision for the future. So sit back, relax, and watch the 30-minute documentary. Please, can you play the documentary? Thank you.
But always deliver more than you promise. Integrity is the hallmark of a true leader. Everything rises and falls on leadership. The governorship campaign of then candidate Muhammadu Inuwa Yahaya before the 2019 general election was energized by great hopes and a strong desire to rescue Gombe State from a downward spiral and massive decay. Every sector and aspect of governance was on life support and in danger of total collapse. Immediately after assuming power in 2019, Governor Inuwa Yahaya visited the State Specialist Hospital. The facility could be easily described as a doorway to the mortuary than a healthcare center. The specialist hospital was in a total state of disrepair, dirty, ill-equipped, and without regular electricity. Many patients were treated on bare floor, and sometimes surgeries were performed with torchlights. This decay cuts across every sector, from water supply to infrastructure, general administration to the civil service. Even the education sector was not spared from the decay. Many classrooms were in a state of disuse due to sheer neglect. In many schools, pupils and students sat on bare floors or under trees to be taught. Governor Inuwa Yahaya promised to change this disheartening and shameful situation. He initiated a well-thought-out, systematic approach to solve the challenge. A fine blend of evidence-based policy redirection, effective implementation of reforms, and an aggressive investment in infrastructure. In the education sector, 1,440 classrooms were constructed and renovated across the state and mopped up over 350,000 out-of-school children. 5 secondary schools were upgraded to mega school standards, and 4 brand new special schools were constructed to take care of children with special needs. 1,000 teachers were also recruited and trained to improve learning and the teacher-student ratio in schools.
In 2019, he promised quality and functional education to the people of Gombe State, and he has been delivering quality and functional education. In the last budget between Ministry of Education and Ministry of Higher Education, we have a 2 digits of the percentage of the budget, and that is in tandem with the APC at the national. So you see how what importance he has given to the educational sector. And number 2, when he was sworn in his speech, he declared a state of emergency in the education sector. We were at a dismal 21% at West African exams, but now we rose in 2020 to 71%. In 2021, because of COVID, we came down, but last year, 2023, we are at 65% again. So 65% is a pass mark, more than even a pass mark. And 65% of our students, that means are getting admission into universities. We have we presented 20,000 students for WAEC, and those 20,000, about 15,000 are eligible to get admissions into university. So you can see the difference from 21% to 70%. I think it's a great mark on it. And then we have seen tremendous infrastructural development. We have seen development partners coming into Gombe, because Gombe is the #1 state in ease of doing business. I translate it in my own opinion as #1 state in ease of doing educational business, because education is a business. We have seen 2 private universities springing up. We have seen a lot of activities in the educational sector. It's because of the passion that His Excellency has for the educational sector, which is translating even in the people of Gombe. Everybody is looking at the education sector. Everybody is looking at our budget. Everybody is looking at him to make the desired change. And Alhamdulillah, he has done it, because when you go out, you are proud to say you are from Gombe. You are proud to say you are his Commissioner of Education, because everybody knows his vision and the mission and the passion with which he thrives on it.
Because in the classes like this, like our board now, in fact, before, if the teacher should write, we cannot see what she's trying to write. We cannot say anything. The condition was very bad. Now we feel so excited, happy. The classes was renovated, even the exam office, exam hall was renovated. We are so excited and happy with what the government have done to us.
In the health sector, the state special hospital has been completely transformed. Brand new buildings were constructed for the accident and emergency department and also for the outpatient department. Brand new generators were purchased and backed up with solar power for a guaranteed 24-hour uninterrupted electricity supply. State-of-the-art equipment were also installed in every department. To improve quality service delivery, the Inuwa Yahaya administration recruited additional doctors and other health workers while sponsoring the training of resident doctors. All these at the Specialist Hospital Gombe.
I'm supposed to start by thanking the state government for making it possible for us to do our housemanship here, because for example, some people graduating in other universities that were not under the sponsorship, some may even spend like 2 to 3 months without even having a placement where to do their house job. Just 2 days after our induction, the arrangement for our internship is already on ground. So we are to report the second day, and we reported the following day. So it's actually a kind of a very smooth transition from studentship to internship.
One primary health center was either built or overhauled in each of the 114 wards in the state, bringing quality healthcare closer to the people.
We have enjoyed this, the coming government that has served, or rather the agency that has served in renovating this our facility, and in fact now it looks more better than before.
Normally if we come here, you will find out there's no medicine, things are not the way it's supposed to be. But for now everything is in order. The environment, water, the facilities are okay now.
3 general hospitals were built, 1 in each of the senatorial zones. Using locations of existing hospitals to ensure proximity to users, the new hospitals were constructed from the ground up and installed with brand new equipment. These secondary medical centers bring quality healthcare closer to the people at the grassroots and reduce pressure on those at the state capital. The contributory health insurance scheme introduced by Governor Yahaya has grown in leaps and bounds, saving countless lives and making quality healthcare accessible to hundreds of thousands of residents of Gombe State. The Network 1100 is a game changer. The ambitious goal is to construct 100 kilometers of road in each local government area of Gombe State. Like pulling a rabbit out of his hat, the roads are being constructed across the state. And with each commissioning, the finish line is closer than ever. Farmers can now better transport their produce to markets. Communities hitherto cut are now reconnected. Commerce is booming and security has improved. The masterstroke is the installation of solar-powered streetlights on the roads. Efficient, strategic, and a beauty to behold. The days of projects being located and executed simply on the whims of the person in power are now behind for good. Every part of Gombe State now feels the impact of good governance, and every project is need and impact based. As a result of the topography and soil texture, Gombe suffered from deep gully erosion for decades. Winding through the heart of Gombe town like a snake, the gullies threatened everything in their path. The Inuwa Yahaya administration strengthened its partnership with the World Bank to address these challenges. The state government ensured that an appropriate amount of compensation was paid to those affected by the project. Multiple sites are being addressed. The project around the state university has been completed. Work is progressing at the site near the Federal College of Education towards the railroad. Other locations have also enjoyed different levels of interventions. The massive ultra-modern mega park is a masterpiece, with extensive facilities in place, bringing all the interstate parks to one well-regulated location. Gombe State's transportation sector is headed for a boom. Improved security, efficiency, and increased revenue are some of the additional benefits. Gombe is currently regarded as the cleanest town in northern Nigeria. This is due to the visionary leadership of Governor Inuwa Yahaya in transforming the landscape, first by the revolutionary Gombe Goes Green initiative. The goal is to plant 1 million trees every year. Governor Yahaya went further to engage street cleaners and waste collectors. Waste collection points and toilets were also constructed at strategic locations to make disposal easy and put an end to open defecation. The first Gombe State Investment Summit, tagged Go Invest 1.0, was a clear revelation of the positive impact of reforms introduced and implemented by Governor Inuwa Yahaya. The overwhelming eager responses from both domestic and foreign investors showed the confidence major players have in the economic potentials of Gombe State. Governor Inuwa Yahaya, a true visionary, developed a 10-year development plan to serve as a roadmap to sustainable development and shared prosperity to all in Gombe. The launch of the document, linked to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, heralded a new vista for Gombe State on many fronts. For the first time in our history, Gombe has a clear plan for inclusive growth, social and administrative reforms, and continuity. Beyond just serving as a development agenda, the 10-year plan also serves as a measuring stick of the performance of this administration and others to come. The 5 key pillars are the economic development pillar, the infrastructure development pillar, the social development and welfare pillar, the sustainable environment pillar, and governance, administration, and institutional capacity pillar. The reforms cascaded to the civil service with improved capacity building, training, and digitization. Land administration and town planning have also been transformed. The entire process of land registration has been fully optimized and digitized without the need for direct human interaction, thereby ensuring greater efficiency, speed, and eliminating corruption. Every resident of Gombe State is now involved in the budgeting process. Submissions and inputs for the budget formulation are received at ward level, and then at the local government areas where public deliberations are held. The submissions and reviews from all the local government areas are considered before the stakeholders' engagement, ensuring that every annual Gombe State financial plan is indeed the people's document. Governor Inuwa Yahaya is a firm believer that leadership is a trust and the money of government belongs to the people. So the people must have a say in how the collective wealth is channeled. All these are part of reforms that have transformed the landscape of governance in Gombe State, ensuring better fiscal responsibility, transparency, and improved internally generated revenue. Culture, tourism, innovation, youth and sports were not left out of Governor Yahaya's golden touch.
Ranking state in ease of doing business to Gombe State.
All these led to several recognitions and accolades from both federal government institutions and reputable non-government organizations. For 2 consecutive years, Gombe ranked first as the best state in the ease of doing business by the federal government's coordinating council. EONS Intelligence also ranked Gombe safest state in 2022. Gombe State was also the best in transparency and integrity, according to the Center for Fiscal Transparency and Integrity Watch. This year, 2024, the world-renowned Phillips Consulting rated Gombe first among the 36 states and the FCT in the State Performance and Social Index. These are just a few of the accolades and recognitions of the transformation currently underway in Gombe State. With these stellar achievements under his belt, Governor Yahaya is bold to affirm that he came with a deep passion and vision to make a positive impact in the lives of his people. His administration has worked ceaselessly in the last 5 years to fulfill his promises and will spend the time left in the people's mandate to surpass these promises and expectations. Writing the name Inuwa Yahaya in gold in the annals of history and in the hearts of every Gombawa, legacy projects that the Inuwa Yahaya administration would not necessarily enjoy, but bequest as a memorial gift to future generations are the Dandi Kowa Industrial Park, the construction of a 3-arm zone that would have the State House of Assembly complex, the State Judiciary Complex, and the State Secretariat.
I went with a clear vision and with a mission and the capacity to deliver on the needs and expectations of the people. During the campaigns, we were able to identify the basic needs of the people, and we promised them along that line in several of the sectors. And on winning the election, even before I was sworn in, I constituted a team of our own youth, who are from within the environment, to go through the state and identify the needs, so that we'll know the low-hanging fruits and know the immediate needs of the people and try to plug them and dish them out to them. So what we did is in consonance with our promises, and along the line, we had to, besides the needs assessment that we made, we had to do a development plan, and which we call the development agenda for Gombe State, and which we tied to the Sustainable Development Goals and its term development agenda for Gombe, Debagom, that will last between 2021 to 2030. So we have planned on each and every leg of the 5 pillars on which we build the development plan, which are socio-economic development, infrastructural development, economic development, and gender equality, governance, and equally the need to take care of the environment so as to curtail the effects of global warming and climate change. And if you consider the project with this through this period, you'll understand that we virtually touched every sector and we have done fairly well, to the extent that we've been acknowledged by the Philips Consulting in their current rating of the states to have AAA, topping all the 36 states, coming #1. And also back before that, through the Presidential Enabling Business Reform Council, we took in 2 sequence, #1 position, meaning Gombe is moving on the right trajectory across all sectors and we are hitting the targets. And all the targets are tied to the needs of the people. We thank God for everything. And we shall do more by the grace of God going forward.
It is the dawn of a new era of inclusive growth, shared prosperity, and sustainable development. All these engineered by a true visionary and compassionate leader who serves with vigor, skill, and integrity. Please rise and give a standing ovation to the architect of modern Gombe, Dan Maja Gombe, Chairman of the Northern Governors Forum and Governor of Gombe State, His Excellency Muhammadu Inuwa Yahaya.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, shall we put our hands together for His Excellency? In fact, at the end of the documentary, the anchor is saying, please rise up and give him a resounding round of applause. Shall we all rise to give His Excellency a standing ovation? Thank you so very much. Gombe State is indeed walking on the right trajectory. A dawn of the new era engineered by none other than this visionary leader called His Excellency Muhammadu Inuwa Yahaya, who is now the chairman of the Northern States Governors Forum. Another big round of applause, please. Thank you. So, Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and those who are here and those that are joining us virtually, and as well as those who are watching us live on various platforms. You've seen it, how it all started, what he has been able to do, and what he's doing for the good of the citizens of Gombe State. So at this point in time, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the microphone a leader whose visionary approach has transformed our dear state. Under his leadership, His Excellency has done quite a lot for the good people of Gombe State. We have seen unprecedented economic growth, improvement in education, health, infrastructure, environment, socio-economic development, and innovative policies that have enhanced the quality of life of all the citizens of the state. His commitment to progress, steadfast commitment to the people have set a new standard of governance in Gombe State. It is my singular honor and privilege, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to introduce and invite to the podium a true champion of the future of Gombe State. Please give a big round of applause as His Excellency please speak to us.
Please sit down. Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor, Right Honorable Speaker, Gombe State House of Assembly, my Lord, the Chief Judge, Your Excellencies, the former ministers here present, the Head of Civil Service, Secretaries of State Government, Permanent Secretaries, Chief of Staff, our resource persons, most especially the special one for today, His Excellency Governor Minister Rajiv Fashola, SAN, our royal fathers here present, participants, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I deviated from the Deputy Governor's style, and permit me to stand on the remaining, if there are any, of the protocols. For today, I think the background laid by this presentation, the documentary, for me has summarized maybe the topic that I meant to address. That is leading Gombe in these tumultuous and challenging times. And I believe you've seen it all. But nonetheless, I still have to do something. And there is, I think it's a PowerPoint, so there could be some display on the board as I go through. I welcome you all. Let me start by giving the background of the state itself and our view. Gombe State was created in 1996, so it is amongst the first generation of states that were created, which were the last, including Zamfara, 6 of them, Zamfara and Nasarawa in the north, Ekiti, and Bayelsa, and which state? I've forgotten. There were 6, yes. And we have a slogan of being a jewel in the savannah. So being jewel, it means we are shining at some points, but we still have problems. We are not glittery. So we need to shine and glitter like the diamond. Our population is 3.8 million people. By the time the state was created, it was only around 1.8 million. And you can see how rapidly we grew in numbers, both because of organic growth and inorganic, because of the movement, because of the peaceful nature of Gombe. A lot of people from the states around us, especially, those who were challenged by insurgency and displacement associated with the insurgency from Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa relocated to Gombe. In fact, as of today, by our records, we have 74,000 families who have integrated with the people and are living with us. That puts a lot of stress to our resources, but we are our brothers' keepers, so we are still moving, and we shall move faster than we are moving. Land mass is about 20 million square kilometers, and we have 11 LGS, 11 local government areas, 114 wards, and 2,218 polling units. Our climate is tropical, and we are located within the side part of us a little from the south in the Guinea Savannah, the fringes of the Guinea Savannah, but more of us in the Sahel Savannah towards the north, bordering Yobe and Borno states, plus part of Bauchi state. And the workforce is around 1.8 million people with a GDP of about 1.349 trillion. We are predominantly an agrarian society with 75 to 80% of our people engaged in either crop or animal or livestock production. And we produce commodities like maize, sorghum, rice, tomato, cotton, millet, soybeans, sesame seeds, groundnuts, gum arabic, and so on. We are equally endowed with solid mineral resources. For those that are aware or that may need to be aware, Ashaka Cement Company had been there since 1978, and in the 40 or 42 years that it was there, Ashaka has never made a loss. There is abundance of limestone, there is abundance of coal, there is abundance of kaolin, there is abundance of gypsum, and so many more solid minerals in Gombe State. Of recent, oil and gas has been discovered. I hope our own will come with a blessing, quite unlike in those places that it became a challenge. At Kolmani, in the first 5 wells that the NNPC drilled, a deposit of over 1 billion barrels has been established. And there is abundance of gas too. So that means we can equally develop if we enhance and develop our oil and gas resources. And around September 2022, the former President Muhammadu Buhari and the team of investors and NNPC, plus many of us, went to lay the foundation for an integrated development, as they call it. I can see my brother, a former GED of the NNPC, maybe he may elaborate on that, but there are issues. There are issues because along the line, in its normal way, NNPC was very opaque, not transparent, and those engaged to develop the place really do not have the capacity, and there are some issues associated with integrity and even financial capacity for them to execute. So we're where we are. Until today, nobody ever set foot on that field, even when at that point of inauguration, I invited the incumbent president, then as our candidate, and he promised to move on wherever Buhari stopped. So we still keep hopes alive that very soon, and I met him recently, I invited him, and he said I should write and send to him that we'll take it up, and inshallah it will be seen to be done very soon. So we pray that it works. Because of the centrality of Gombe, bordering the remaining 5 states of the Northeast, we share boundary with all the remaining 5 states, Bauchi, Borno, Yobe, Adamawa, Taraba, and yes, those are the 5. And our location, being central, means we have, it takes us only about 2 hours, 3 hours maximum, to get to all the state capitals of the Northeast. So that centrality made us to attract a lot of businesses. And Gombe, by history, is a railway town, so a lot of people have come to settle, and we are therefore cosmopolitan. Very hardworking, very committed, and very enduring. That is the background. As when we came in 2019, and precedent to that, as usual, politicians go around, we campaign on a promise that will improve on the lives and lots of our people along all sectors and in every nook and cranny of the state. Our manifesto carried a name, a promise that you can count on, and I believe we've ensured that we've delivered on our promises, and the people can bear testimony to that, seeing what you saw on the short documentary that was presented. We promise security, law, and order. And I'm happy to say that Gombe is among the most secure states of Nigeria. Let me be modest enough to say not the first most secure state, but the security agencies are here, and they can bear testimony to that. The former IG was the first to give us that pass, and we are still there. He's here now, so I cannot tell lies to anybody. You are welcome, IG. Retired. We promise quality education, from primary, secondary to tertiary education, and we did not relent on that. We worked hard enough, you've seen. What we made on ground was really a rotten structure that could not stand. But with the determination that we came with and the zeal and passion to serve people, we made sure that we improved on education. The Commissioner of Education took us through, and as of today, we've been able to have 5 mega schools, each with a capacity to admit not less than 5,000, 3,000 to 5,000, and they could answer their names as being mega schools with every facility that you could expect in a modern secondary school. So also in tertiary education, we align with Lincoln University to turn the Gombe State University of Science and Technology into an international university and make it more aligned to medical education. So also we saw to the take-off and completion of several structures in Gombe State University that will provide tertiary education, and equally set up a campus at Duku that will now serve as a faculty for environmental sciences. So also in healthcare, I would like to go further for what of time in education, but you saw it, that we did between primary schools to secondary schools. In primary schools alone, we built 1,440 classrooms and renovated a lot, and equally have accessed all the monies that Gombe has at the Universal Basic Education Commission. So we are prompt, and we've been judiciously utilizing our resources to enhance and provide better quality education between primary to secondary and tertiary level in the state. In agriculture, which is the mainstay of our economy, we've been able to support our farmers with inputs, especially fertilizer and the chemicals, since we came in the last 5 years. That of this year is going to be done in the first week of June, and we ensure timely and effective supply of those inputs. Equally, we upgraded our farm service centers in 5 locations in the 3 senatorial districts, and also worked in improving those that were existing during the days of the Gombe Agri Development Project and the Bauchi State Agricultural Development Project. In environment, you saw it. Gombe is like the center, I can say, the capital of environmental degradation, especially soil erosion and gullies. We have over 200 active gullies in the state, and when I say active, I mean those that can destroy lives and livelihoods. And the nature of the topography is situated in a way that there are a lot of undulations, so there are valleys and hills, and the soil very loose because it's loamy, so erosion gets set. That coupled with poor and bad farming practices and the loss of vegetational cover as a result of poor farming practices means the desert is encroaching at a very, very high speed, while the rate at which we generate our forests is low. But we make effort to ensure that every year we plant not less than 1 million trees. Yes, according to observation, and it's true, some of them might not have survived, but if you move along the airport road alone, you will observe that there are trees lying along the way, and they've grown up enough, especially the mahogany trees. In the town, all the sidelines we put, now it is the people themselves that are coming to ask for the seedlings and plants to go and plant and look after. So we are winning that, but inshallah, we shall work harder to ensure that we win it more and make Gombe a model in terms of restoration and improvement of our environment. You saw what we are making, the effort we are making with regards to gully erosion control, and also improving on the landscape itself. With the concrete roads we put in every side of our roads, there are concrete drains that drain off the water and take it to the main streams that feed the gullies. So there are no issues to do with flooding these days, and inshallah, going further, they will even get better. Infrastructure, which is the backbone of every development. If you want to go to a good hospital, you must have good road to link you to the hospital. You must have, the hospitals themselves must have water, adequate and potable water supply, and also any social service that you render to the people has to go through roads to get to them. And the fact that our people are more into farming, being agronomists, we also work hard to ensure that all our villages and the local governments are linked, especially district heads to the local government headquarters, which eventually link up to the state. We indulge in a program that we call Network 1100. Yes, very ambitious, 100 kilometers per local government. But we'll be able to put 700, as at today, over 700 kilometers has been built by this administration. And we shall deliver on the rest, inshallah, in the remaining 3 years. We shall deliver on the 300 or even add more. Because just last week, we added contracts for some work to be done in conjunction with the RAM in the rural areas between Funakaye, Kwame, and Yamal to develop local governments to the tune of about 78 kilometers. And in Tumpere, this neighborhood alone, 11 kilometers is being done. I plugged off during these ceremonies, and I promise that it will be delivered in 9 months. So I'm assuring the people that, inshallah, we shall hit our target. It's a tall order and very ambitious, but yes, if you are not too ambitious, sometimes it's good to be ambitious or even over-ambitious, because it's good to dream big. It's only that thing that can steer you to make you work hard and grow big. In terms of commerce, trade, and industry, Gombe is, like I said earlier, the nerve center of commerce, being the center of the Northeast. So there is a lot of trading activity. In fact, we have that name being the smaller Kano of the North. So besides Kano, I don't think there is any other state or city that can boast of commercial activity like Gombe. And we are doing very well. And in fact, the support government is giving to see that we really grow bigger is what made us to be #1 in terms of enabling business environment. And we shall continuously sustain that. And inshallah, even in the next rating, we shall come tops. But it's not enough. Providing the environment is not enough. Madam said yesterday, we need to do more to see that we actualize that environment that we did attracts investors. And that practically the investors are here because of the reforms that we are making or that we have made. So we shall do that, and by the grace of God, with what we did, by providing the Muhammadu Buhari Industrial Park at Dadunkwa, it means industry and commerce will increase more. 1,000-hectare facility that already has a road network with power, being close to the Dadunkwa hydropower, which has 40 megawatts capacity, and the effort we are making to provide power through solar to the tune of 100 megawatts means 150 megawatts of power will be there to support any industrials. And you will agree with me that power is the greatest challenge that industrialists are facing in Nigeria. So there we are, and we shall move faster. Housing and transportation too, we are making our modest effort. We recently went to lay the foundation for the Rindhoek Estate in Gombe, and thereafter I took the Honorable Minister of Housing and Urban Development to the Shongo Gardens, where we are putting up, in conjunction with the Family Homes Fund, about 500 houses and 50 more at the industrial park to provide accommodation for those that are coming to site industries there, so that they don't need to be moving, knowing that Dadunkwa is nearly 50 kilometers away from this place. So they will have housing close to them. And the target is that we shorten the gap and ensure that the housing deficit that Nigeria has is really breached, and in Gombe State, we will reduce it, and our people benefit, especially our workers and retirees. Let me take us to part 3, which is state affairs. Based on the needs assessment we made, our survey involved 400 communities across the 114 wards of the state, that is the 11 LGS. 53% of the communities, this was done in 2019, 53% of our communities survey lacked access roads. And you could agree with me that our effort to put up roads was really to address this issue. 50% lacked functional primary health care centers. So also that was what made us to get focused and ensure that we improved. And we started with addressing the issue by making sure that in each of our wards there is at least one functional primary health care center that is really bearing its name, that can stand the test of time, that provides everything needed for it to provide an efficient service to the people. 55% of our people lacked potable water as at that time, and only 46% are connected to the national grid, meaning we are almost 50-50. Even as at now, there are some 3 wards in Shongom that are connected to the national grid. That is very, very unfortunate. But through the efforts we are making, we shall address that by providing mini-grids using renewable energy, solar, to provide electricity to such places. 15% lacked primary school, and 40% had shortage of teaching staff. We tried to address those issues along the way, and the next chapter, part 3, is about what we made. The backlog of pensions to the tune of 21 billion naira, because when I was finance commissioner, I ensured that every quarter we allocate a certain amount of money to offset, the issues to do with gratuity and pension. Unfortunately, I left commissioner 2010 September. And when the succeeding governor came in, by 2011 he abandoned everything. And as at 2019, the time I came in, there were backlogs of 21 billion in terms of gratuity alone, and the pensions that were not regular. So also contractor debts and obligations of over 100 billion. 100 billion. And local governments were in bad financial state, meaning they were insolvent altogether. Those that were claimed to be solvent had only records on the paper. There was no cash backing, no credit in either the ledger or the accounts to support the claim that there was that money. And there was a demoralized civil service. They can bear witness to that. Some of them are here, unencouraged, unmotivated, and not willing to work at all because of poor condition of service. And we had to declare state of emergency in the health sector and education. We led through one crisis to another. You know very well that COVID ravaged the world for 2 consecutive years, but it started around the end of 2019 in December. And because of it, everything got affected. So we had to contend with it equally in this place. 2 economic recessions that followed the effect of COVID. We also had to contend with global economic slowdown, also associated with COVID, food and energy crisis due to the war in Ukraine and other crises in the world that really affected especially third world nations that relied on Ukraine for energy or for food, and so many more. Fuel subsidy removal, which is the latest that afflicted the bad injury on the Nigerian people and their psyche. And that was inevitable. I always say, and I will continuously say, that Tinubu should not be blamed for the crisis that set in as a result of withdrawal of subsidy. It's a build-up of our bad practices for over 40 to 50 years. And we refuse to take action. We lived in illusion expecting that manna will form heaven forever, even when the heaven has shut its doors. Nothing is forthcoming, and yet we are waiting. So there was no option. And you will recall that 6 months to Buhari's exit, he sought and got approval of the World Bank facility, $800 million or so, just to support subsidy. And it could not get clearance for the Senate and the National Assembly, and even the people. Everybody said no. Buhari was leaving, so there was no need. Let him not borrow more. Yes, we didn't borrow. But then prohibition for subsidy was made only up to June. And Tinubu was sworn in on the 29th of May, meaning he has only 1 month, before which even the National Assembly might not be inaugurated. And to sustain subsidy, it will mean a supplementary budget in that magnitude has to be passed by the National Assembly. So there was no option. But because there were no structures enough to absorb it, that's where we are today. So, whether we like it or not, I always tell people the truth. Subsidy has gone forever. I pray that it doesn't come again, but we must change in our attitude and practice. Because we cannot just be consumers, dying all the time, and be expecting to be fed at all times, even when the food is not available for the parents to give to you. We are like the children here as a state. Gombe State relies 100% plus, because what we generate internally is just about, in fact, it was our effort that made it to get to around 1.4 billion now. It used to be around 400 million. You can imagine, 85% of whatever comes to Gombe in terms of the inflow from Federation account goes in paying salaries of workers. What do you do if you have to do some issues to do with governance, security, providing social services, and many more? The whole workers of this country, if you combine them, are not up to 2% of the population. What do we do in order to support those people that are really waiting for government to do for them? So there is no option. We have to go with the advice of Mrs. Ifeko that we must, at this point, to start to link inwards and generate enough so that we can consume what we have. Let's rely on our own, and if it means taxing people less, it could be taxed. Any levy, yes, but we must be ready to render service to the people so that there will be justification for taxation. That is my position, and I pray that we overcome all that. And you've seen our achievements and the milestones we've made in terms of, how we approach the issues and how we tackle them in the last 5 years, and possibly how we'll do more in order to tackle those that we have now and those that may emerge in the future. Everything begins with a plan, and that was why by 2019, after the immediate needs assessment, we started to think of having a development plan, which will be the framework on which we build every issue to do in Gombe State. And we eventually did it by 2020 with the support we got from development partners, especially those in the United Nations system, UNICEF, UNFPA, UNIDO, and many more, and directly with the mental and psychological support, and encouragement from our sister, the dear one, the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations. He came personally on the inauguration of the plan, and we aligned the 5 pillars, you saw it, of the development plan to the Sustainable Development Goals, because those are the articulated goals set out by the United Nations that affects humanity the world over. Economic development, infrastructural development, social development and welfare, sustainable environment, governance, administration, and institutional capacity. Measuring our progress, especially in those sectors, I've already mentioned that in education alone, we built and renovated 1,440 classrooms in 350 schools across the state. We upgraded 5 schools to mega school standard with every facility needed, and equally integrated Quranic learning centers, Al-Majri centers. As of today, we have a model we made for each local government of an Al-Majri and Gaya school, which has dormitories like the secondary schools, which has classrooms, and which has teachers from the back that are teaching Western education in conjunction with the malams they have teaching the Quranic education. And there are houses for the imams, and there are mosques in the schools. That was the pedal we used to get to, the out-of-school children, especially the Al-Majris, because they are quite huge in number. Gombe, as at the time we came in September 2019, I went to launch a basic education and service delivery for all, and UNICEF, by the account, said there was about 550,000 out-of-school children in Gombe. And I said, no, maybe they did not take account of the influx that we got as a result of displaced people that relocated to Gombe. And as a result of also the fair security situation that we have here. So a lot of them came in. And I estimated that we are hitting around 750,000, then 200,000 on top of what they said. But luckily, UNICEF has acknowledged that we have improved, and it is our plan that we shall now make sure that in these remaining 3 years, we've already enrolled all the remaining, and not only enroll them, but try to retain them in the schools so that they have at least the basic education, and possibly those that are good among them move on to obtain tertiary education. In the health sector, I've also mentioned what we are doing. We've done 114 at the first instance, so meaning in each of our wards now, you can have at least a functional primary health care center with all the facilities and the personnel needed to provide basic health care to the people. We are expanding on that. We are adding another batch of 1,000, one in each ward. So meaning in the next 1 year, we shall have 228 functional. Overall, we have around 480. So, but what matters most is those that function well and serve well. So if we have 288, the rest now will make sure that we put a plan that will ensure that they are all already, they are all carried along that way of expanding and facilitating the delivery of proper service to the people. I've mentioned the hospitals, what we did in Specialist Hospital Gombe, what we are doing in each senatorial district. Now we are making sure that at least the standard of what we have in Gombe is what is available there. So within a twinkle of an eye, somebody can move here from his locality and get to have very quality secondary health care. Luckily, we have the teaching hospital here, which is being managed and which is supported by the Federal Ministry of Health. So, and it has a lot of equipment and staffing. So with that, I believe from head to toe, we can render quality health care to our people with ease. Also, we are giving support to the private hospitals in town. We make sure we enroll the good ones among them that are credible in our system to be service providers through the Gombe State Contributory Healthcare Management Agency. So meaning they are supporting and complementing the efforts the government is doing in providing healthcare to the people. So our hospitals in Kaltungo, Kumo, and Bajoga are ready. They will be commissioned very soon with the successes we have achieved. When you consider that the one we did, and the School of Nursing, 1,000 capacity, almost completed, because where the School of Nursing is just cut within the science secondary school, making it uncomfortable for their own students and with no facility to expand. And equally, the secondary school is feeling the pinch that it has been reduced and there are no facilities. So we opted to build a brand new one, 1,000 student capacity, which means every year we'll be able to provide at least 500 qualified nurses and midwives that will help in supporting the primary health care. Our Go Health, that is the Gombe State Contributory Health Care, is a success because it has turned to be a model. Several states have come to see what we've done, especially in terms of the software we are using, which we locally did, and equally the ICT infrastructure of the facility, because on the phone you can join Gombe Healthcare within the comfort of your own house. So also, out of the 242,000 enrolled on the contributory healthcare, we accessed the National Healthcare Fund, and with it, we've been able to take care of 40,000 with some little addition on top of the poor and vulnerable people. Those that are physically challenged, they are getting their own service free of charge. And that is a lot, especially for those of us that know what it is and what it means to be poor. We know what it is and we're helping them. We set up a health management board. When I came on board, Gombe was the only state that didn't have a health management board, hospitals management board. So we set up one. Now we are moving in conjunction or shoulder to shoulder with every state, and they are busy managing the health system, especially in terms of staffing and managing the staff. The last but not the least, I consider it most important, the Hospital Consumables and the Drugs Management Agency, which is aimed at supply and ensuring quality supply at an affordable price to all our healthcare institutions. That has taken off, and we are getting support also to see that it is getting on efficiently and with the viability and profit that it is expected of a private sector-driven organization. I've mentioned what we did in infrastructure. I've mentioned what we did in terms of housing. I've mentioned, but I didn't mention land administration. We made a very, very chaotic situation whereby you find a plot having 3 or 4 owners because of the bad practices of land agents and the civil servants. So we had no option than to indulge in, putting this in to let it be done efficiently, scientifically, through the Gombe Geographic Information System. And now GOGIS has taken up. Now I can assure you that there is geospatial information of all the minerals we have in Gombe, of every land we have in Gombe, and every title. Every title is now on the spatial geospatial data of Gombe. So no more conflicts, no more allegation or accusation by EFCC, because when I came in, there were issues. And when Gombe was ranked among the first five states, the most corrupt states in the north or in the country, I said no, I didn't believe it. I investigated and found that it was because of land issues. And unfortunately for us, or fortunately for us, there's an area office of the EFCC here. So any little report they got, they recorded. And Gombe was made amongst first five states, most corrupt states. I told them, no, I beg to disagree with that. We are not corrupt. We are not that bad. And we are doing better. we shall do better by the grace of God. Economic and social development. Yes, we made mention of the Gombe State Economic Summit, Investment Summit, which we held here in 2022, October. We were supposed to hold one, but I said no. Let us adjust and make sure that we can absorb the shocks and do a better outing. At that one, we were able to sign memorandum of understanding with 6 companies. Investment was about 70 billion then came in. Some have started. You could bear with me that when you go there, you now see that Domagri is already very far, working on its factory, and also the Outsource Global, which we came here in this very hall with the Vice President to launch. Gombe partnered at that time with Outsource Global, and we are doing now outsourcing service, providing engagement for our youth, those that have skills in ICT. 2,000 of them have been engaged, and that will help us in adding more to our GDP, and eventually we shall recover from whatever returns they get, being a business that will be paid mostly in the hard currency, the US dollar. Also, we engage our youth through the at-risk program in conjunction with the Office of the Special Advisor then to the President to be facilitators, so that they will facilitate skills and entrepreneurship within our local communities. 50 of them, and equally recruited 500 to do facilitation. We also added 500 of our youth and took them onto the GOSTEC, which is the Gombe State Security, Traffic and Environment Corps, so that we'll be able to manage our environment, ensure road safety, and also security. We engaged 27,000 youth also at inception, when we are providing support in order to ensure that the environment got seriously vegetated with green. And the Gombe Goes Green initiative engaged 27,000 youth at that time with some stipends. And some of them were given economic trees, so that by this time now, they might have been yielding the fruits they can sell to generate some income. Empowerment to our small and medium enterprises, we've done severally, especially with the NGKs, but even without NGKs, we've been able to support over 1,000 artisans and entrepreneurs, and equally supported those that are in business. In agriculture, I've mentioned some things to do with support to farmers, either in fertilizer or chemicals and herbicides, or vaccination to our cattle, or even the bit to ensure that we restore the cattle routes and avoid farmer-herder clash. We set up a very robust committee under a retired AIG that comprises of all the retired surveyors general in Gombe, to ensure that we take alignment and senior stakeholders in agriculture, especially animal husbandry, the Mieti Allah, and the All Farmers Association of Nigeria, and many more of them. They've submitted their report, and I made a pledge that, God willing, the white paper has been passed, I will make sure we implement their recommendations. Because that is the genesis of all these crises in the north. If you go to the northwest, the genesis of the crisis is crisis of land resource between farmers and herders. And I don't blame the herders, because encroachment has eaten into the shoulders of even our highways now. We don't give the right of way. And the grazing reserves, forest reserves, and the cattle routes have all been encroached, without consideration for the fact that 25% or more out of those 75% of our people are engaged in livestock production. And for me, I think it's criminal at this point if leadership will close its eyes and we don't see the suffering of people trekking with all the risks attached, to cover 500 or more of kilometers with cattle going around, exposing themselves to risks and vagaries of the society. And when they dare tamper with anybody's crop, yes, the security agencies and the courts will now cut their neck, as a result of which they lost their livelihoods. And suddenly, they realize that they can pick one person and get to the bush and trek for over 50 kilometers at night. That guy may be crawling, they may be moving fast, because they know the place upphead. Even without compass, they can go through the bush. So they found sanctuary there. And now they pick you, they go and get 100 million, since they lost their own. When do you see that this thing will finish? IG, retired, is a father for you, but the CP is here. Yes, we must address this issue. That is the number one thing to be solved, if we are ready to solve the current issue that we have with regards to banditry and kidnap or ransom. And if we don't care to address it now, I'm sorry. Those of us that are close to go, I am over 60, and I know that in 10 or 20 years I cannot run, no matter what. They will come and kick me, even in the comfort of my own house. I may not have security at that time. Not you, anyway. So I will not be able to protect myself. Neither the chiefs, emirs, or district heads, or whoever in the north now sleeps with two eyes closed, because themselves too are targets. So we have no option than to address the issue. Gombe is working hard to see that that issue is addressed. But if it's not replicated in Bauchi, Yobe, the neighborhood in the northeast, or the wider north, or even across to the south, it will spread. Because you cannot deny Nigerians the right to move, or the right to own property. It's a constitutional right. I'm sorry, with due respect to my elder brother here. So we must do something. And Gombe is doing a lot in that regard. Measuring progress, water resources, I think I'm taking a long time, but they know. You can ask anybody here that despite the fact that Gombe is pumping water from Dadunko, which is almost 50 kilometers away, ever since I came, we cleared the backlog of what the maintenance company was being owed, about 5.5 billion we paid off, and we added more, and we started paying monthly. As at today, no months pass without we paying 150 million to the CGC company which supplies. And on the average, not less than 35 million cubic liters of water is pumped to Gombe every day. But that is not enough. Of recent, in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Water Resources, because they are supporting us with 30%, we provided 70% and are working on the expansion of the regional water, and 11.6 billion, 3 booster stations, and 160-kilometer network has been linked within the town to supply more water to the people. We are expanding on that because through sustainable urban and regional water supply, rural water supply, we are working to see that all our local governments now have good quality potable water that is affordable. But I must warn that what we did, despite all the costs I mentioned to you, I asked the commissioner to work and get me the figures. But I know that as at January, for the 5 years nearly that I've been governor, we did not generate 250 million as water rate, not 250. And with the challenge of not getting enough from Abuja and not generating from the people, how can you maintain? It's nearly impossible. We can't. So that's a big challenge. But I've thrown a powder to you, Commissioner, and your people, the water board, and everybody here. It's a task that must be done. Because if you don't provide potable water, it means you're causing crisis through poor health. And that will mean contending with several issues, not just one, and many more. You saw what happened because of the recent failure that we got as a result of lack of power. For nearly a month now or so, Gombe has been off the grid. But yet, people did not see that as a problem. They were blaming government. They did not see that they connected illegally in some places. They are blaming government. They did not see that they are not contributing to see that it works. They are blaming government. You cannot continue to blame. You must be part of the solution and not the problem. So there we are. I think at this point I should not bother you more. Public service is very key because the civil service and public service are the engine rooms that drive the system. You know the comatose situation we found when we came. The head of service is here, and I dare you to dispute or argue against that. And you are here all, most of you, some of the permanent secretaries here, you know. But that should not make us to lose hope. We shouldn't lose hope. We should rather be encouraged to work harder and build more so that we create the future that will bequeathed to our children and our great-grandchildren. We paid the over 14 billion now as part of that gratuity. But when you are adding more as you are paid, it means you are where you are. So there must be a drastic effort now to be made. Something drastic must be done. And when you see labor arguing that minimum wage should go to 600,000, I just laughed. It's not possible. You can't work on impossibilities. We are human beings. We must work hard. What is important now is for us to be more productive, produce more. If possible, produce what you can export so that you can earn foreign exchange and back the strength of the naira. Stabilize the naira at a point and ensure that with that stability you are able to do a lot of things that are needed that can shoulder the responsibility of this heavy weight that is on us. Unfortunately, again, both the macro and microeconomic management policies of this country are not with the states. They are first line, they are on the exclusive list. So, if what happens at the federation, at the national level is not a good one, we must bear with it and go with it, no matter how bad. And what you do as a subnational may not necessarily turn out to be the correct thing, yes, but you may do it rightly, but once it is not done right upstairs, it means you cannot move. You cannot move. Imagine just about 3.8 million out of about 230. That weight of the ones that did not do most will crush you and you will finish. That is the situation. So we must wake up to the realities. Don't deceive yourself. In Borno, up till now, there are those that earn below 8,000, but they can't be efficient. 18,000 minimum wage we've been paying. Since I came in, by April 2020, we started paying the minimum wage, at least at the state level. But the local governments that has almost 50-50 in terms of numbers with the state civil servants could not afford because the structures there cannot absorb and they don't generate. So how possible? It's not possible. It's either we downsize, reduce the numbers, but increase the salaries so that you can ensure efficiency and quality service. That is the option. So produce more, work hard, and possibly reduce the numbers. And that will be the magic one that can change the tide. So work towards that. And our vision towards the future is clear. I told them, Your Excellency, even day before yesterday, that I did not come into this contest to become governor blindfolded. I came with a clear vision and a mission to deliver on the needs and the yearnings of the people. Very, very clear. I will not waver on that.
And I said that I am the driver, fully in charge and in control, sir. So I maintain the steering in my hands with the clutch and the pedal of the brakes and accelerator. Whoever is willing can join me and walk. If you are not willing, either we drop you or you fall down on your own. And whoever tries to cross on the way, we shall crush him and move forward. That is my position. That is what I behold for the future of Gombe. Let's work hard. Let's work hard and make Gombe better. I'm not happy that when we are talking now, some other states are also raising shoulders. Let us pass them. We don't need to own the whole world before we make the difference that is needed. We can make it, and we can make Gombe great. That is the vision. And in conclusion, I would like to thank you all, and I would like to pray that as we finish this meeting or seminar, we shall go back home safely and will continuously work hard to make Nigeria better for all of us. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so very much, Your Excellency. Please, can you keep clapping for His Excellency for that eloquent presentation? So eloquent presentation. Your Excellency, thank you so very much, and well done for that presentation. I want to believe you will all agree with me that there is no sector that has not seen the magic wand of His Excellency, the Governor of Gombe State. Today, Gombe State stands tall among its peers. No wonder that the national dailies in Nigeria, many national dailies in Nigeria, honored His Excellency as their own Governor of the Year. Remember, the Leadership newspaper named His Excellency the Governor of the Year in 2021. Vanguard newspaper also named His Excellency the Governor of the Year in 2022. The Sun newspaper also named His Excellency the Governor of the Year in 2023. New Telegraph newspaper also named His Excellency their own Governor of the Year, the Education, in 2023. Also, His Excellency was also honored as Governor of the Year by Business Day newspaper 3 consecutive times, and Daily Independent newspaper also recently named His Excellency as their own Governor of the Year in the area of healthcare delivery. So let's put our hands together for this distinguished gentleman and visionary leader. Thank you. So the speech of His Excellency, or the presentation, has now laid the stage for His Excellency Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, CON, to make his own presentation. Like I said earlier, he is the lead presenter, and so I shall be inviting His Excellency, the former Governor of Lagos State and former Minister of Works, to please come forward for his presentation. As he mounts the rostrum, I will be reading a brief profile of His Excellency Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, CON. Born on the 28th of June 1963 in Lagos, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, is a 1987 law graduate of the University of Benin, and after a 14-year stint in private law practice as a litigator, he had a public service career that spanned over 2 decades long. In that period of public service, he has served as Chief of Staff and Commissioner in the Lagos State Government, 2-term Governor of Lagos State, and in May 2023, he meritoriously concluded serving a 2nd term as Minister of the Federal Government, having first been appointed in 2015 and reappointed in 2019. Babatunde Fashola was called to the Nigerian bar in November 1988. His career as a barrister and solicitor started in the law firm of Shofunde Osakwe, Ogundipe, and Belgore, where he engaged in general litigation over diverse areas of law in our magistracy, high courts, appeal courts, and the Supreme Court of Nigeria. As an advocate, Mr. Fashola has distinguished himself. In August 2004, he was conferred with the rank of the Senior Advocate of Nigeria, SAN, Nigeria's highest legal distinction. He is the first member of the law school class of 1988 to take the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria and the second University of Benin Faculty of Law graduate to be so honored. As a public servant, he has served with no less distinction and dedication and has been acknowledged locally and internationally for his dedication and service. Mr. Babatunde Fashola, SAN, is a recipient of the prestigious Stephen J. Solage Award of the International Crisis Group in 2015 for his commitment to building a peaceful and vibrant society, his work to improve social and economic conditions in Lagos, including his role in preventing the Ebola outbreak from becoming a crisis in Nigeria. He was listed in 2014 as one of the 100 top global thinkers for 2013 by a global personality assessment organization, Lo Spazio della Politica, LSDP, based in Italy and Brussels. Time magazine has commended him for the overhaul of Lagos infrastructure, while The Economist magazine acknowledged him as a rare good man, a governor who does his job well. Mr. Fashola is a patron, a Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, CIA, member, Nigeria Bar Association of Nigeria, MBA, member, International Bar Association, IBA, fellow of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, and Notary Public of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, former governor of Lagos State and former Minister of Works. He is going to be speaking to us and he will reveal the topic. While he is on the podium, the Honorable Minister of Transportation, our own distinguished Senator Saido Ahmed Alkali, just walked in, so we want to welcome you, Honorable Minister. Thank you so very much for coming. Thank you. And also we have former Governor of Kebbi State with us here, distinguished Senator Adamu Alero. You're most welcome, sir. Thank you. Your Excellency Fashola, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency Governor Mohammed Inuwa Yahaya, the Deputy Governor, Speaker of the Gombe House of Assembly, the Chief Judge, public servants, serving and retired like me, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Really, why are we here? And I think that's a good question to pose as a starter. And the answer is clear from what we have heard. We are here to assess what Governor Yahaya and his team have done with the resources entrusted to them by the people of Gombe. And as I listened to the governor giving some high-level summary of his intervention from education to health, erosion control, what have you, industrial activity, employment, gratuity, pension, I just felt sorry for him. You know, and I just recall myself walking through a place I call the University of Life. So you are still in the classroom, keep your hands on the wheel, but don't cross anybody. And you will have a safe arrival. Your Excellency, this is not a good time to be a leader, and it can only get more difficult. Our world is changing, our understandings and conceptions are also changing, so are our needs. So for those of you still in the saddle, really, I doff my hat. Well done to you and to your team. I see my former chairman, Governor Alero, is still in the saddle. I am enjoying my peace, and it is good. But really, democracy thrives on accountability. And this is what you have done by this gathering, and by the rendering of the report, and by some of the activities that I have heard have taken place. You have made promises, and usually during campaigns there are many. I used to have a small notebook when I was campaigning, and it is a sense of integrity that makes somebody campaign and come back to say, I promise this. Let us discuss. Have I reached you enough? And I think that the object of this self-examination by the Gombe government for honest answers is an objective that I say must be very highly commended, and I also advise that it should be sustained. Let me say that there are people who will benefit from government activities, from government patronage, and that while that is going on, they will not have a bad word to say. But it is not what is said now that matters. It is what is said when you have left office. So, and when the campaign season starts, what is left, what is then said becomes important. I have heard it said by opposition in some instances that the government has been there for 8 years and they have done nothing. Is that really possible? A government doing nothing for 8 years? That's not possible. That's bombastic, it's hyperbole, but you are going to hear some of these things as time goes on, especially when you enter what is internationally acknowledged as lame duck season. But your accounting process will have preempted all of that, and your documentation will have preempted all of that. So the useful barometer that I ask public servants to test themselves by is that after I have left office, will I be able to live among the people? That's the useful barometer. If you can say yes to that self-test, I think it is fair to say that one has done well. So this takes me to the legacy of the predecessors of Governor Yahaya in this democratic dispensation, especially since 1999. Because let us be frank with ourselves, once we take office, we also inherit the legacy of predecessors. It is part of the assets that we are entrusted with, wherever they may lie. And I want to therefore acknowledge Governors Abubakar Abu Hashidu, who governed between 1999 and 2003 on the platform of a party called APP, which later became AMPP, which has morphed on, and Governor Mohammed Danjuma Goje, who governed between 2003 and 2011 on the platform of a party called the PDP, and Governor Ibrahim Dankwambo, who governed between 2011 and 2019 on the platform of a party also called PDP, who has since moved on. And now, the incumbent who has spent 5 years, Governor Muhammad Inuwa Yahaya, and on the platform of a party called the All Progressive Congress. You will see, therefore, that Gombe has been very, very discerning. The electorate is discerning. So they have voted across the major party lines. And they cannot, therefore, be taken for granted. They will make a choice if they are not happy. So my recommendations, therefore, are first that irrespective of party lines, we must acknowledge the contribution of each person. Because what I ask myself is that if my predecessor had not done this, where would I be? Would I be starting from where he started from? Which is a difficult place. So I always like to start from where they finished, which is a relatively easier platform with which to take off. Therefore, I think that their work represents useful building blocks. And as I said, it enables us to start from where they stopped, rather than compelling us to begin from where they started. Perhaps, for me, the most enduring legacy upon which Governor Yahaya has consolidated is the legacy of peace in Gombe. I believe that his administration deserves every commendation for this, because this is what makes the name, the jewel of the savannah, meaningful to Gombe, a peaceful state. And I know this because I experienced it. I have had cause to visit almost all of his predecessors here. Gombe is a peaceful state, I say that. And he has consolidated on it and kept it going. Especially now that he also wears another cap as the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum. And I know that it just cannot be easy combining those responsibilities. To you and to your team, Governor, I say well done. In my previous life, I served as Minister of Power, Works and Housing, and that brought me to Gombe for different reasons, either to come and confer with Governor Yahaya here about land for National Housing Project, or to visit the Dadinkowa Hydropower Dam to see what needed to be done there, or traversing Gombe through Kaltungo to Jalingo to go and see what was happening on the federal highway there. So, but on each of those occasions, I took my safety for granted because I always ended up here. I had no worries at all about my own safety or that of our team. In fact, Gombe was one of the states that we chose as a center for retreat. And I think we were here for 2 or 3 nights. And I recall that Governor Yahaya then told me the story about a place called Sankalafia, where a large number of people from the southwest have traded with these parts of the country for many, many decades. So I think that it's not just Gombe's peace, but even Gombe's people. And perhaps it is appropriate to begin to think of Gombe as the land of the big embrace, because they always stretch out their hands to embrace people. And I think this must also continue. I have heard the story of a woman called Mama Baturi. I think she's now of very blessed memory. But I think that she came from a place in Kiru in present Osun State, and she never went back because of the love, the hospitality, and the accommodation that this state offered her. I hear from people that it is a place, she runs a place in an area called BCG, where the best amala is sold in town here. And these are cultures clashing and meeting and prospering. So when I got the invitation to come and speak about this assessment period on promises to progress and to assess how far, the notice was short. Kari called me, I think, last week, and I said, okay, I will come. It was a little difficult to prepare because, as they say, when you want to assess government all over the world, the best person to tell you what is going on in town is a taxi driver all over the world. But I was far away in Lagos. I couldn't get into a taxi and see where the pulse of Gombe really is today. So I did the next best thing. I have a couple of Gombe friends, locally and internationally, so I called them up. And I said, look, I have this problem, and I need each of you to tell me what you hear, what you experience, what is going on in your state. So what you will hear from me today, apart from my own personal experience, is what your indigenes have said is happening here. So the 2 major people, one is female, one is male, and the third person is a newspaper editor nationwide. So I called them, I say, so we called all of their correspondents, and I will give you feedback. So this is what I will offer, the sum total of their feedback. Let us find out what Governor Yahaya's people say about him. So let me start with the feedback from the female, and I quote her. The current leadership in Gombe is led by Governor Mohammed Inuwa Yahaya. He encapsulated the vision into a 10-year development agenda for Gombe, aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals. This agenda has encapsulated the declaration of a state of emergency in education, with emphasis on girl education and health. Targeted investments in infrastructure and agriculture have propelled the state forward. Prudent management of the state's resources has resulted in the delivery of services in spite of lean finances occasioned by the COVID pandemic, influx of displaced persons from the epicenter of insurgency. Forward-looking economic policies have earned the state the top spot in the ease of doing business rankings in 2022 and 2023 by PEBEC, with the highest score based on empirical data from micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises in the subnational ease of doing business ranking conducted by PEBEC. Gombe has become a role model in good governance, in financial prudence, and in fiscal integrity. Governor Inuwa Yahaya has been running the affairs of Gombe State transparently and making Gombe one of the most accountable states in budget planning, implementation, and financial reporting in Nigeria. In 2023, Gombe State ranked top in the state's Fiscal Transparency League table released by Budget. The Center for Fiscal Transparency and Integrity Watch, a highly regarded transparency watchdog, rated Gombe State number 7 in Nigeria and number 1 in the whole of the Northeast region in good governance, in fiscal probity, financial prudence, and in public service expenditure on the Transparency and Integrity Index. End of quote. Governor, this is not my opinion. This is the opinion of one of your indigents. So let me go to the next one very quickly. And quote, Gombe State under Alhaji Mohammed Inuwa Yahaya CON has been focusing on several major projects to boost its economic opportunities and infrastructure. Here are some of the key initiatives. 1, the construction of the Muhammadu Buhari Industrial Park in Yamatu Deba local government area is a significant project. It is expected to feature 10 mega factories, create 10,000 direct jobs, and almost 100,000 indirect jobs upon completion. Agriculture and export. Efforts are being made to connect farmers with industrial companies and commercial markets to enhance the export potential of agricultural products such as tomatoes, beans, etc. Energy. There are ongoing sustainable energy projects including developments in hydroelectric, solar, and wind power. The Balanga Dam, for instance, could provide the site for hydroelectric power plants. Health. The upgrade of primary healthcare centers in the state. And the peaceful nature of the state is commendable, particularly as it is at the center of the Northeast. End of quote. That is another of your indigents. The third, who is not your indigent, a political editor for a major newspaper, has this to say, quote, the provision of subsidized fertilizer seeds and other inputs to encourage and support farmers to participate in wet season farming. This started in 2023. The delivery of 25% discounted fertilizer along with other inputs was to ensure food security in the state and in the country as well. He has attempted to cushion the effect of subsidy removal. The governor has reeled off a series of initiatives which included an additional 40% subsidy on much needed fertilizers and other farming commodities to boost production and fight hunger. During his first tenure, he invested hugely in construction and rehabilitation of roads, both in rural and urban areas. He also continued with the infrastructure development of the state after securing his second term. KPMG has rated it for 2 consecutive years for elevating Gombe as a top performer in the ease of doing business. And he has attempted to put the multi-billion naira newly completed ultra-modern mega motor park to use. He set up a task force to facilitate the smooth transition of operations from 3 major parks in the state to mega parks in Gombe metropolis. He has received commendations for religiously implementing the sustainable urban and renewable water supply, sanitation and hygiene SOWASH, a World Bank funded project. The state is currently leveraging technology to boost revenue. End of quote. Now, these reports are unanimous in their consistency. There has been progress and there has been impact. The interventions in ease of doing business, agriculture, infrastructure, the environment, and good governance, amongst others, are resonating, Mr. Governor, and I urge you and your team that they must continue. The message of the government itself, some of which you have shared with us today, is also being clearly heard. And your communication is reaching people. Again, Mr. Governor and your team, I urge you, there must be no turning back on the advocacy and the sharing of progress and challenges. I think that one thing that we do very well is to deploy resources enormously during campaign to messaging and promises. But I dare say, perhaps, that we don't deploy enough or similar resources to communication of the challenges and of the progress after the job has started. And I think that we must find a fair balance in this. I know that there are other competing sources for competing demands for limited resources. I know that election campaign funds flow more easily during the period of promise, but I think that there's an important balance, and this kind of engagement is also a useful communication strategy. But I have heard also, by my own endeavors, some of these messages. I know that Gombe has paid attention to environmental issues. The governor has spoken about the very serious ecological challenges that are being faced here and what is being done to respond to them. But I got to know from Gombe's communication on a TV channel that Gombe is not just the cleanest city in the Northeast, that she has set herself a very ambitious target to become the cleanest city in Africa. This, for me, is significant. It is an environmental endeavor, but it sends the message that the government will raise her own bar of performance. And the governor has also said that here today when he talked about how far they have gone about rules, but they are not satisfied. He talked about things that he has done and they are not satisfied. And that's an important message of leadership. Leadership should not be complacent, and leadership should not wallow in self-adulation, celebrating small achievements. Indeed, I remember a book, I think it was by Shimon Peres, titled, "There is no room for small ideas." So leadership must continue to challenge itself, and in relation to the theme of leadership in times of crisis, that is an attribute, a leadership that does not surrender. And we have heard that also, that the governor said he is in control, he is in charge, and is driving safely, and he will arrive safely. I think this is a necessary attitude for leadership in times of crisis, taking responsibility. And this attitude, in my view, must necessarily prompt the Inuwa Yahaya team to remind itself that the commemoration of 5 years of promise to progress only means that there are 3 years left. That's where we are from tomorrow. And that leaves us with about 1,095 days from tomorrow to the end of time. And unfortunately, no matter how much you love this state, you cannot come back. Not as governor. You would have done 2 terms. But that 1,095 days is now further reduced by the latest electoral act, I think the 2023 Act, which requires now that election notice must be given 1 year before the election. I believe that it used to be 180 days, 6 months before. Now it's 1 year. So what this means is that by the first quarter of 2026, election notice will be issued. In my view, once election notice is issued, the focus on governance begins to ebb. And what will be left at that time, between now and then, to members of his team, is that there will just be 22 months to concretize the legacy of this administration and what will be said about this administration after it has left office. What is said after then will be the most profound verdict on the government, not what is said now. I have 2 comments to make here, one from my experience and the other from the feedback that my survey yielded. My experience tells me that what endears us to the people most are not just the monuments and the things that we build that they can see, but rather the monuments that we build in their hearts. And I saw a monument being built in that video in the heart of that young lady who was expressing the changes that have taken place in her classroom. She will never forget you and your team. And the more of those type of people in whose hearts we build things are the things that will concretize the legacy of this administration. In framing the administration's legacy, therefore, my feedback points to 3 areas in which people still expect you to do more. And thankfully, you have preempted me, you have addressed them. One of them, they say, is lack of potable water. And they refer specifically to what you refer to, that there was a power outage that has caused that challenge. And I'm glad with your disposition to continue to find alternatives and the plan to expand. So it means clearly that there is a very important feedback between you and your people. And what I was going to recommend, sir, you have already done it. And I will get there in a moment. The second feedback, of course, was about focusing on human capital development. Again, we see the connections here, your awareness of what the challenges are from the farmers, land issues, education, healthcare, how you are able to understand the larger dimensions of a shortage of water, I think clearly demonstrates that you have your hand on the bar. And of course, the idea, the third issue they asked me to bring to your team's attention is welfare. That is a very wide word for so many things, but it speaks to a continuous engagement, if you ask me. So, it seems to me that the government has not neglected any of these areas, and your speech before mine clearly shows that you had your handle on it. What it seems to me, rather, is that the recipients of these services are asking for it to be delivered in a particular way. And if public service really means anything, we must listen to the person who is receiving the service. After all, we are the servants. So I was going to recommend, and I still recommend that you continue to do so, that you commission a statewide opinion survey. I benefited from it then, because oftentimes it gives us feedback what every particular side of the state wants. And very often, if you deploy resources to give them what they have asked for, you can't get too far from the mark. And I say that is what you have exactly done with the needs assessment that you said you conducted and the feedback. And the feedback, you will see, water was a big issue, about 55% there. So, but I think that this is what takes government straight to the pulse of the people and helps government then decide to which cause do we put what resource. Because after all, if the people say they want to drink more water, you can't be giving them more of something else. That is their compelling need, and as their servant, it is our responsibility to do this. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I will close by just saying that effective leadership strategy in challenging situations and times of crisis requires introspection, and that introspection includes this kind of interactions. It includes some of the surveys that you have done. It requires listening, which is what you have been doing for the past few days. It also requires courage, which I dare say you have shown enough of already in your decision to grow the tax base of the state, your decision to solve serious land problems, and so on and so forth. And of course, it requires course correction. If we think that we have done something wrong, let us change course where the evidence and the data dictates. That is my feedback on how far your indigenes say the journey has gone from promises to progress. And I think that the verdict is one of an acquittal. And in talking about acquittal, let me acknowledge my Lord, the Honorable Chief Judge. I hear very good things about the leadership that you provide in this state. Please continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, former governor of Lagos State, former Minister of Power, Works and Housing. Let's appreciate him once more, please. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you. So, Your Excellency, the Governor of Gombe State, Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor, Honorable Minister of Transportation, distinguished Senator Adamu Alero, who is also the Chairman of the Senate Committee on Land Transport, other distinguished personalities that are here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Now it is time for panel discussion on the two papers presented, the one presented by His Excellency and also the one presented by our lead speaker, the former Governor of Lagos State, Babatunde Raji Fashola. So we have 6 panelists, is it 6 or 7, that are going to be coming up to discuss these two papers and all other things that they feel is of relevance. First on the list of the panelists is Dr. Manasa Daniel Jattau, the Deputy Governor of Gombe State. He's going to be taking his seat. As he's stepping to the stage, Let me quickly introduce him briefly. Dr. Manasseh Daniel Jatau is the Deputy Governor of Gombe State. He earned his bachelor's and master's degrees in sociology from the University of Maiduguri in 1979 and 1988, respectively. Dr. Jatau further obtained a doctorate degree in sociology of organizations from the Bayero University, Kano in 2002. He began his career as a superintendent of the Nigeria Customs Service in 1981 and rose through the ranks to the position of Deputy Controller General of the Customs, overseeing modernization, research, and economic relations department until his voluntary retirement in 2014 after 33 and a half years of service. From July 2014 to January 2019, Dr. Jatau served as senior lecturer at Bingham University before taking a leave of absence to join His Excellency Governor Muhammadu Inuwa Yahaya as running mate in flying the APC's ticket in the 2019 gubernatorial election in Gombe State. Dr. Jatau has played a pivotal role in supporting Governor Inuwa Yahaya in formulating and executing policies and programs that have positively impacted the lives of Gombe State citizens over the past 5 years. Notably, he chairs several committees, and Dr. Jatau was the one that led the entire process of organizing the maiden Gombe State Investment Summit in 2022, where the state's investment potentials were showcased to the world. Let's appreciate the Deputy Governor of Gombe State as one of the panelists. Your Excellency, the next panelist is another distinguished personality, Malam M.K. Ahmed. Malam M.K. Ahmed holds a degree in accounting from the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and a PG diploma in innovation and strategy from the University of Oxford. He is a fellow of the Society of Corporate Governance, Nigeria, and a member of the Institute of Directors, Nigeria, IOD, and was honored with the National Award of the Officer of the Order of the Niger, OON. With over 40 years of experience in various sectors, Ahmed was a pioneer Director General and CEO of the National Pension Commission, PENCOM, and has worked with the NDIC and the Central Bank of Liberia. He chaired the boards of Polaris Bank and Credent Capital Advisory, and is the president and chairman of the Council of Society for Corporate Governance in Nigeria. Additionally, he serves as an independent non-executive director for MTN Nigeria PLC, Flour Mills Nigeria PLC, and Infraco, and has previously served on the boards of FBN Holdings Limited, Fed Foundation, and International Energy Insurance PLC. Ahmed is also a member of the National Council on Privatization and chaired the technical committee that produced the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance in 2018. Your Excellency, distinguished participant, it will interest you to know that Mr. M.K. Ahmed has served previously as the chairman of the Transition Committee of Governor Inuwa in 2019, a role he discharged with utmost sense of duty and sincerity. You're welcome, sir. Your Excellency, the next panelist is another distinguished son of the soil, Dr. Ibrahim Jallo Daudu. Dr. Ibrahim Jallo Daudu is the member representing Adamawa, Gombe, and Taraba States in the Federal Civil Service Commission. With a distinguished career as a retired Federal Permanent Secretary and former head of Gombe State Civil Service, Dr. Daudu is widely acknowledged for his leadership in civil service reform and efforts to enhance institutional capacity for sustainable development in Nigeria. In addition to his role in the Federal Civil Service Commission, he is a member of Gombe State Honorary Advisory Council and has previously led the Transition Committee for Governor Muhammadu Inuwa in 2023, further demonstrating his commitment to public service and good governance. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I present to you one of the panelists for this event, a proud son of the soil, an astute administrator, a visionary leader, and accomplished reformer, Dr. Ibrahim Jallo Daudu. The next one, Your Excellency, is Professor Isaac Ediba. Professor Isaac Ediba holds a bachelor's degree in history and a master's of arts in history from the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, having graduated as the best student in the class in both programs. He earned his PhD degree in history and international studies from the University of Jos. Professor Isaac Ediba began his sojourn into the academia as a part-time lecturer in ABU Zaria from 2006 to 2009. He joined the service of Gombe State University in 2009 and rose through the ranks to become professor with effect from 1st October of 2023. Professor Ediba is a fellow of the Corporate Institute of Administration. His broad research interests and expertise include the political history of Nigeria, African studies and religion in society, and historiography. He is currently the head of History Department of the Gombe State University and the Vice President Northeast of the Historical Society of Nigeria. He had worked as a research assistant with the late ABU historian and teacher, Dr. Yusuf Bala Usman, at the Center for Democratic Development, Research and Training in Zaria. He has published widely in both local and international journals and books. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Professor Isaac Ediba. Your Excellency, the next is Dr. Lawal Oladimeji. He is a native of Kwara State. He attended Karuma Primary School and St. Anthony Secondary School, all in Ilorin. He holds BSc in Public Administration, MSc in Public Administration and Policy Analysis, and PhD Public Administration, all from the prestigious University of Abuja. He joined the service of Gombe State University in 2011 as an assistant lecturer and had risen through the ranks of a reader and public, and he is currently the Deputy Dean, School of Postgraduate Studies, Gombe State University. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Dr. Lawal Abdullahi Oladimeji. Your Excellency, the next person I think will be joining us virtually is Muiz Banire, a Nigerian lawyer and activist. So I want to believe in due course he will be joining us virtually. Then, Your Excellency, to moderate this very important session and also partake in the panel discussion is Umaru Alaji Pate. Umar A. Pate, a professor of mass communication, is the Vice Chancellor of the Federal University of Kashere, Gombe State, and the President of the Association of Communication Scholars and Professionals of Nigeria, as well as member of UNESCO Network of Communication Professors. Born on 4th of January 1964 in Song, Adamawa State, Professor Pate obtained a degree in mass communication in 1987 and then backed a Masters of Philosophy at the University of Ghana and PhD at the University of Maiduguri in 1990 and 1997 respectively. Professor Umar Pate started his career at the Department of Mass Communication at the University of Maiduguri in 1988. He became an associate professor in 2002. He was appointed a professor of mass communication and Dean, School of Postgraduate Studies, Bayero University, Kano, in 2007. In November 2017, Pate was appointed by UNESCO in Paris as Director representing Africa on the 6-person board of directors at the prestigious international network of UNESCO professors in communication that has its headquarters at the University of Quebec at Montreal in Canada. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, if your hands are not busy, please put your hands together for these distinguished gentlemen who are going to be discussing on this panel. So may I, at this point in time, Your Excellency, hand over the microphone to the lead discussant and the monitor to please do the needful. Thank you, Prof.
Your Excellency, or Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is a pleasure being in your midst. We are here to celebrate success, and as is always said, success has many fathers, failure is an orphan. And as you can see, on this side, we have very eminent Nigerians with distinguished profiles. We have all listened to the remarks from His Excellency, the Governor, as well as remarks of the special guest who gave us his own ideas, perhaps a bit, or we can say ideas of an outsider. And of course, it must have been based on multiple sources of information. Outsider in the sense that he is not based in Gombe State, but he is an eminent Nigerian that is well informed on issues. Gombe State is lucky in a number of ways. It is centrally located in the northeast, and that's why some people say it is the capital of the northeast sub-region. Equally, it has been lucky in terms of management of resources, prudence, and above all, for the current governor, one thing that one can say certain about him is realism in the management of the state. Here we have, like we have said, individuals who are eminent, well qualified to be able to comment on the issues raised. We are going to start with the Deputy Governor, then go towards this direction. For the first round, every member will be given 2 minutes to make his introductory remarks, and thereafter, we take some few other minutes to take a look at the issues raised. The Deputy Governor, sir, perhaps you are the closest person working with His Excellency. What does it take to work with Governor Yahaya in the last 5 years?
Our moderator, Your Excellencies, yes, as the rear commander, who is following closely the commander in the front, let me always say that for you to learn from Governor Yahaya, you need to adapt. You have to change from what you know, which is the principal reason why Charles Darwin said any species that will survive is the one that will adapt to an environment. If you are static, like the SAG said yesterday, while the governor is moving at 150 kilometers, some are moving at 100, then you need to adapt. That is, I'm speaking as the rear commander. And for others, what I have seen so far is that like organization, a leader must be responsive. He must be responsible. He must be also resilient and adapt, and he must be relevant if he is to survive. That is why we are surviving.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Daudu, you are an eminent public servant. You have been in the civil service. And above all, you were the chairman of the transition committee in the last or immediate past dispensation. What is your own personal assessment of the public service under the current leadership in Gombe State?
Moderator, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, looks like an easy question. My perception or my assessment so far about the public service under the Inuwa Yahaya administration is a public service that has come to realize that the days of indolence are over. That because we have a leader who is piloting the state at the speed of light, as they say, and having for long been abandoned, the civil service was made to realize that it has to rise up to the expectation and catch up with the leader in order to support him. And I think to a large extent, even in my report at the Transition Management Committee, we made a very powerful statement about how far the civil service reforms, which commenced, are continuing and are making an impact on the public service. And as can be seen through the impact can be seen through the various service delivery improvement that we have seen. Thank you.
Dr. Ladimeji, you are a lecturer in the university. You have been interacting with students. You have been interacting with your colleagues. What is your own understanding of the feeling of students of Gombe State about the current administration?
Yeah, the moderator, distinguished participants, I think our perception and understanding.
It's okay. Lower down the mic a little.
Okay. Our understanding and perception in the university system of the current administration in the state is that it is a government that is focused on improving the governance in the state, improving the well-being of the people. Particularly the students of the university who attest to the fact that the system has been able to accommodate them in terms of their interests and aspirations. The university system has been stable in the last 5 years that the state government has been in charge, except for national interventions that becomes unavoidable. Otherwise, the academic affairs in the university has been steady, and in spite of the economic challenges we are having in the country, the level of charges being visited on the student in the university is still quite very minimal and is manageable. So for us in the university system, we appreciate the disposition of the leadership we have at the state level, and we believe that the future is quite promising. Thank you.
Professor Idiba, you are an observer of public events, and it's always said, law and order is the invisible architecture for peace in any society. As a historian and analyst, what do you think is the state of security in the state? And whatever answer you are going to give, why is it so?
Yes, I was born and bred in Zaria, live all my life there before I came to Gombe State about 16 years ago. Gombe State is extremely peaceful because there cannot be development in all its ramifications without peace. To a large extent, this is a state whereby everybody is given a sense of belonging, regardless of your ethnic affiliation, your economic or social status, or your creed. As we are speaking now, virtually every part of this state, the length and breadth of this state, the nook and cranny of this state, there is development. In the predominant Muslim part, the predominant Christian part, in Tumfere, as we are speaking just yesterday, some critical roads have been commissioned due to the peace existing. In a situation of rancor and lack of peace and chaos and anarchy, there cannot be development. To a large extent, as a historian, I believe that a crisis situation could predispose a leader to development. Europe extremely attained the stage it has attained after the Second World War as a result of the post-Marshall Plan rolled by their leaders. So to me, situations like this, crisis situation, can predispose a leader.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much.
Okay,
Thank you,
let's
sir.
go to Alaji MK. Sir, your name is synonymous with prudent management of public resources in this country. And luckily you are here. You were the chairman of the first transition committee. What is your own assessment of the management of resources under the governor, either in the first or in the second dispensation?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, distinguished, Your Excellencies and distinguished participants. Perhaps I'm one of the dinosaurs in this room, so at least I can speak as an old man. And I also had the opportunity for relating with the previous governors, and including the current governor. There is no doubt about it. We've been lucky as a state, and I will talk a bit. I hope you'll give me that privilege. That we had somebody who did an assessment. He said he had an assessment. In fact, the assessment team visited 400 communities in Gombe, came up with a plan, supported, and he's implementing his plan religiously. I'm saying that because of the fact that some of us also had opportunity to work with other states, Borno, and currently in Taraba. For me, having a plan, remaining focused, and also being transparent. Transparent means your ability to disclose what you are doing. I want to tell you a story about Honorable former Minister of Works when he was a governor. He started to introduce one way and ensuring that traffic laws are obeyed. So he went to one street, a very popular street, and there was this big man, in fact, I think he's a retired or former military person with all the entourage. And what Raji did was to stop in front of him and said, "You are going on a wrong way." Of course, then, if you recall, you needed a certificate at least to ensure that you are not psychiatric. But what has he done? He didn't call him names, he didn't insult him, he didn't say anything. The mere fact that the governor stood there, he was ashamed. And he had to reverse to take the other way. So for me, one needs to be very active, one needs to participate. And there's no doubt about it. Your Excellency, you have given a clear direction. You have also focused on people, but you need to remain focused. Ensure that, as the lead speaker said, you have a legacy, and that legacy that's the one each and every one of us will. But you also need to work on emotions. It's very simple. Nobody will give you a pass mark simply because he likes your face. And you will continue to have that, no matter how good you are. But if you remain focused that you're working for the people, then that makes it easy. Otherwise, you can be provoked. And you may be tempted to say things that ordinarily, because those of us who know you as a very, very young person, you have remained consistently humble, focused, a patient person, and you should not allow this office to make you look different. And it's extremely important, because if you do that, you get distracted. And to that extent, you also need to take care of your team. Of course, we have integrated some of them yesterday, but they need to be part of the team, they need to work with you, and they need to feel that, yes, they have a role to play. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Professor Ediba, Gombe State may appear small on the map of Nigeria with 11 local governments, but when it comes to issue of multiculturality, pluralism, and diversity, it could be as complex as any other state. And we know that you cannot talk about peace, you cannot talk about progress, you cannot talk about development where diversities are mismanaged. From your own assessment, to what extent can you say that the governor and the government have been able to manage the various diversities in the state for the progress we are seeing?
One of the special advisors to the governor, the current governor, is His Excellency. He's an Igbo man whom I know and have worked with. And the governor has managed the diversity because, of course, in diversity, you could pull quite a lot of positives. that could be managed, and it will cascade into bringing about the needed peace in all the state. This same governor, the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, a very prestigious position, welcomed the Christians under the leadership of the Christian Association of Nigeria on Christmas Day, right there in the government house. Christmas carols were sung. The governor even danced to the Christmas carol. He's a very proactive leader in terms of bringing about peaceful coexistence, because he perfectly understands that in a situation of rancor, in a situation of crisis and mutual mistrust as a result of...
Thank you, Prof. Now let's go to Dr. Isa, Dr. Edime, Professor. Now, assuming you travel to Kwara and somebody decides to ask you a question, what is the philosophy of governance in Gombe State that you think we can copy in Kwara State?
The philosophy of governance in the state is about raising the quality of life of the people. The governor has demonstrated this in the presentation he made earlier. The documentaries that was presented had also shown how the governor is extremely passionate about raising the quality of life of the people of Gombe State. And this has been illustrated in the various sectors. Talk about the educational sector, talk about the health sector, talk about the infrastructure, particularly the road network. For those of us who live in Gombe, we can attest to the fact that one major legacy project of the governor is his ability to consolidate on the road networks. Before he became the governor of the state, there were several roads, both in the rural areas and in the town here, that were not there initially.
So what can Kwara State copy from Gombe State?
I'm sure it's about improving the infrastructure of the state and raising the quality of life of the people, particularly...
And bringing people from other states to work in the state. And bringing people from other states.
Of course, definitely bringing people from other states.
Which means you are an example.
I am an example, definitely. Correct. I am.
Good.
And apart from myself, there are several other people who are non-indigenous of Gombe that are here working here, and they are living happily and working peacefully here.
Which means Gombe is accommodating.
It is quite accommodating. That point has been made earlier by the presenters.
Thank you very much. Now let's go to the next. Sir, Dr. Daudu, sir, you are an indigene, a very prominent one for that matter, and all the progress achieved in Gombe State from when Gombe was a local government or was a division under the then Northeastern sub-region, local government, and today it is a state. And you have witnessed all sorts of governance systems. What if Governor Yahaya is to call you on one-to-one today? Please give me your own honest assessment on what I need to do to continue to promote the quality of governance in the state and also uplift the living standard of my people with them being contented.
Thank you very much. In one sentence, I would tell him, Your Excellency, you have been a team leader, you have been the driver, you have all the qualities, you are focused, you are also innovative, and you are a good manager of people and money. I would want you to continue what you are doing in the way you are doing it so that more can be achieved in one sentence.
And if he says, what is it that I am not doing what I need to do from your own assessment?
I think what he needs to do, one thing that he needs to do is to probably look at the recommendation of the speaker, of the main paper presenter. That is to look at, again, the welfare of the people and improve it the more.
Sir, the word welfare is omnibus, is huge.
Yes.
What specific aspect of welfare?
Stomach infrastructure, I think.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, let's go to the Deputy Governor, who is almost every day with His Excellency and stands in for him wherever or whenever he's not around. Sir, I will still ask you the same question. If Governor Yahaya calls you into the office, the two of you alone, say, Deputy Governor, between man and God, tell me what is it that I've not been doing, which I need to do.
Well, I don't know. As a lecturer, I don't think I've ever asked my students to write their report card. What you are trying to force me to do is like to ask a student to write his own report card. But people having different ideologies and beliefs, I cannot think precisely the way he wants to think, but obviously, I will say much as the state has been keeping to time, we still need to go back to our old agenda of being precise on time. In the past, if you say an event is 11 o'clock, it must be 11 o'clock, whatever may be the obstacles. Because for one, you should know that there is no organization without challenges. It is your ability to overcome those challenges that gives us an effective leader. So we need to go back to our old agenda of being precise on time. It saves time, it makes us achieve a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I am also supposed to be a moderator as well as a contributor on this panel. And for my contribution, I will focus on the aspect of media development and management in Gombe State, which is my primary area of interest as a professor of mass communication. Your Excellency, sir, if you are talking about development, apart from the aspects of physical development, you also need to look at the other invisible aspects. Media information management has become not only political, but a very strategic issue in the business of governance. When we talk of information, we are talking about uncertainty management in the minds of people. And so long as people are not certain about your direction, about your thinking, rumors, misinformation, malinformation, and disinformation will continue to fly, especially in the era of the social media. With the social media, everyone is a journalist, everyone becomes an editor, and he or she manufactures the kind of content that he or she wants, and with 10 naira data, circulates to millions of people. You may not have the advantage of replying to every one of them. And once a rumor is released, it is like a bullet. It goes, you cannot call it back. You can only try to do damage control. What am I trying to point at? You need to invest much more in your media development sector. Radio Gombe is weak. TV Gombe is off. And nobody can blow his or her own trumpet for you. This is the era of media war. Therefore, for the next 3 years, if you were to call me for an advice, I would suggest that you take a second look, a very critical and serious look at GMC Gombe. How do you digitize the media sector so that your own opinions, your own ideas, and your own stories about development can also be promoted? Secondly, do you have a social media team that is diverse, that is sophisticated, and that can communicate based on your philosophy and direction to be able to win the hearts and minds of your people? If you cannot do that, you can do all the development, build all the beautiful roads in Balanga and elsewhere. Nobody will get to know. and the story will remain that you have not done ABC. Therefore, you need to make a statement on what you have been achieving. And that can only be done if you are in control of the channels of communication. And it won't cost you much to do that, sir. Now, let me go to the next and perhaps the last round. Sir, advise the governor on how he or she, yes, you, sir, on how he or she can make his public servants happier.
Okay. I can see my public servants here. I think one of the things, or rather the many things that needs to be done to the civil service and the civil servants, including the public servants, is first of all to improve, or rather more respect and consideration for the civil service. Because we know that the civil service is the one that moves government policies, that turns policies into services. And I would want a situation where the lot of the civil servants is improved, of course, in terms of not only salaries and allowances, but in terms of qualitative working environment. And I'm very happy, sir, to say that as we move out from this hall to go and commission the mega park, that to me, as a person, as a civil servant and public servant, is also sending a strong signal to me that the movement of the park will have significant impact on the item I've mentioned. I know that the moment it moves from where it was upon the commissioning of it today, work will start in earnest for the construction of a befitting, for the first time, a befitting state secretariat with all full compliments.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Dr. Adimeji, I'll still take you back to the campus. And if the governor calls you, tell you, what are the students saying about me? Are they talking about the scholarship awards? Are they talking about their hostels? What can I do to make them happier?
Thank you, sir. I think with specific regards to the situation in the university, one major problem that currently confronts our student population is that of access to accommodation, particularly talking about the hostel facilities. Because of the continuous increment in the enrollment of student population, the existing hostel facilities in the university is unable to cater effectively for the needs of the student. At best, the university is not able to accommodate more than 50% of the student population. And considering the inflation, even to rent accommodation around the university environment is quite expensive. And so it's one major area I think it will be good if the government can consider. I'm not sure if I will have this opportunity again, so I would like to speak to one major subject I think is very dear to the heart of the governor, and that is the subject matter of the DEVAGOM, the Gombe State Development Agenda. In quite a number of events I have attended, particularly that were hosted by the state government, I have seen that the governor is quite passionate about DEVAGOM. And I wish to make a suggestion that the goals of the DEVAGOM are quite very lofty. And I think, for me, I began to see it beyond the tenure of this government, that it should be institutionalized in a manner that, God's willing.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
We go to Professor Idiba. Professor Idiba, local governments. Today, the federal government is 21. Okay, sir. The issue of local government has become central, and some people are even linking the collapse of the local government system in Nigeria to some of the crises we are seeing in the north, particularly. What is your own assessment of the state of local governments in Gombe State? And what can you advise the governor on how we can strengthen the system for the restoration of progress, peace, and development at the lowest levels?
Thank you, Prof. The local government is a critical tier of governance. Of course, it is more closer to the people at the grassroots. And if at all levels of government, we are to be sincere about governance and the dividends of democracy, particularly since the onset of the Fourth Republic in 1999, there is the urgency to rejig the local government. If I'm not mistaken, just last week or 2 weeks ago, in this state, local government chairmen were inaugurated. And I'm sure the fiscal discipline and prudence of His Excellency will go a long way in ensuring quality delivery of services to the local government.
Thank you very much. Let's go to... Sir, your honest advice to His Excellency in the remaining 3 years for the development of Gombe State.
Well, thank you very much. Just to tell His Excellency that from day one, you've invited us, we've advised you, and substantially, it seems to be consistent with our advice. But I can tell you, the moment we feel, even it's the last day in your office, we feel you are not doing what you're doing, we'll say it, and we'll continue to put you on that track. So remain consistent, continue to provide that leadership, but build institutions. One of the greatest challenges we have in our society is that we don't like building institutions. We don't want a situation that the next person that comes will start to say, perhaps if it was so-so and so-so, it would have been different. What can you do to build institutions? What can you do to empower your team? What can you do to ensure that the legacy you leave will remain with us? Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Maybe I give Dr. Daudu one minute. Or you are okay? 1 minute.
1 minute, okay. Well, I understand we are running out of time, but I had wanted to say that this was an opportunity, this symposium was an opportunity to really assess the government, how it had performed in the last 5 years. And I would say, as an insider, I've been with the government since the creation of the state, the various governments, so I know what it was before and what it is now. And from his vision, I know what is going to be in the next 3 years. Having said that, I honestly want to say my assessment is that the leadership style of His Excellency is unique, but it's like the template that you will ask for and get when you want to now answer the question as to what kind of leader do we need in the crisis situation, whether it is security, whether it is financial, whether it is COVID. I would say he will stand out as material for study. I will therefore not hesitate, assuming the whole Northeast became a state again, and they are looking for a governor. I will say, come and take this gentleman. He will be a very good governor.
Thank you, sir.
And secondly, sir, I want to conclude by saying that he is our star in the Northeast. But sir, in the event that duty calls, please, and that shot comes when you are required to take charge of not more than the Northeast or more than Gombe State, please take that shot. We are all behind you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, the last contribution we are going to take will be from the Deputy Governor. Dr. Fashola said something as an advice to the Governor. Build monuments of goodwill in the hearts of people. And that is what will last. And that is also what will be available on the day you submit a check to take something from the heart. As a Deputy Governor, what do you think are your critical legacies with the Governor?
Thank you very much. I may not have time to answer that question too much, but I can tell you that for those of us that used to spend 6 hours before we get to our local government headquarters, and now we spend only 30 minutes, is something that is in our heart. It's not just the road that we are seeing. For those that have lost interest, lost hope in schools because of the shabby nature of schools, for them to have gone back to school is something of interest. But let me just add that this seminar is really for our inductees. The governor has passed the test of leadership, has attested by His Excellency Fashola, has attested by the former IG. My issue is I came with a paper prepared to talk about what is even a leader, what is a leader, what are the types of leader, how can you succeed as a leader. But I have given it to Smaila because I was not ready for this. I wanted to be a resource person, not to be a panelist. A panelist for me is too short. I'm a born teacher and I wanted to teach what leadership is all about. But I have given the paper and he can always pass it to those that are willing to read. If they are even having time, the book is there. It's a book that I wrote. I don't believe in. Mine is practical application. So we have touched the lives of people. It's not saying what we have seen, but how he has made us to feel. I'm one of those that the journey to my village is abridged and is abridged forever.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. All of us here are teachers. If we are to be given time to talk, I can assure you I can talk for the next 5 hours in this hall. But it is not the moment for it. An opportunity for that will come, Your Excellency, I believe. Now, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of us seated here, we would like to thank you. But, sir, let me, being the moderator, I have the opportunity of having the last word. My areas of interest are two: education and information. Education, of course, I don't need to tell you the essence of it. We need to see more investments in education because education is an area that will continue to take and take and take. The population is increasing by the day. The challenges are mounting and the resources are becoming depleted. This is where we know the real quality of leadership in the periods of crisis, like what His Excellency earlier raised. For media, I've raised the issue. This state needs more investment in the media sector, and I believe, knowing you, that will be done. So on this note, let me join Dr. Fashola in urging you to commission the guest speaker himself for giving us the ideas that inform some of our comments. And above all, we thank you all for your kind attention, appreciation, and some of the applause you gave us. Well done.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, the panelists. Let me appreciate His Excellency, the Deputy Governor, Manasseh Daniel Jatau, Mr. Malam M.K. Ahmed, ON, Dr. Ibrahim Jallo Daudu, Professor Umaru A. Pate, who served not just as a panelist, but also as a moderator, Professor Isaac Ediba, and also Dr. Lawal Oladimeji. Thank you so very much. Let's put our hands together for the panelists. They've really done justice to the subject matter. Thank you very much. So, Your Excellency, at this point in time, we've come to the end of this session. But before we leave, the Chief of Staff Government House will give us a vote of thanks on behalf of the organizing committee. So, Chief of Staff Government House, Laji Abubakar Inokari, will move the vote of thanks, please. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, permit me to stand on existing established protocols. I want to particularly thank our lead presenter, Maebo. You said we dragged you at short notice, but we know you love Gombe so much, so definitely you'll always answer our call. We thank you and really appreciate you for coming and giving us those insightful thoughts about leadership. I want to also particularly thank our paper presenters who were here yesterday, Mrs. Ifeko Okaru, the MD NICOMSAT, Dasuki Arabi, MK Ahmed, Mr. Victor Mba from Philip Consulting. We thank you very much, and particularly our Oga at the top, the IGP. We thank you very much for coming. I want to thank everybody here, all of you. We thank you for coming here today to stand with this great son of Gombe, who is doing Gombe proud. I thank you very much for coming to celebrate with us, to celebrate with him. We thank you, and may God Almighty take you back to your respective destinations. Thank you very much.